United Nations World Wildlife Day is commemorated every year on the 3rd of March to recognize the unique roles that wild plants and animals play and also appreciate their contribution to people and planet. So on this week's edition of Environment Today, we shall be telling you all about the World Wildlife Day 2026. Welcome to Environment Today. My name is Nkoli Omodu. As usual, I'll be your guide throughout the program. I'll be back after Environment News. As the sun rises daily, our environment changes. Shall we say human, technology, or our negligence towards the environment caused us a lot of global warming, degradation, or pollution? I'm Nkoli Omodu, journalist, global environmental analyst, and host of Environment Today on AIT. Join me in the environment capital of discussion in Nigeria, Africa, and the world on what is happening in our society, how we can improve our environment culture. I speak to newsmakers, environmentalists, activists, and game changers. The bold moves, big issues, solution topics is all right here. Make Environment Today on AIT your weekly watch.
Some people they talk say animals no dey laugh, but perhaps we no dey even dey give them reason to laugh. Our unique species of gorilla, we dey only see am for one small bush between Nigeria and Cameroon. With only 300 wey remain for inside forest, we no fit afford to lose even one. All these traps and snares wey dey use kill bushmeat, sometimes e dey kill, sometimes e dey wound all dem gorillas, and e dey drive dem enter extinction, as in dey go finish inside bush, dey no go remain again. And this one, you go agree with me, say na serious matter. No chop illegal bushmeat from animals wey don go through danger. Make dem dey where dem dey inside bush, make we sef dey okay.
The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, has urged operators in the midstream oil and gas sector to comply fully with the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act or be ready to face sanctions, including suspension, project withdrawal, and possible criminal prosecution. At a high-level sensitization workshop in Lagos, the board made it clear that enforcement is no longer confined to the upstream sector. The engagement themed compliance with the provisions of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010, the path to industrialization, brought together key players across the midstream value chain. Acting Director of Monitoring and Evaluation, Onomehin Ajemi Jaye, said the board is expanding enforcement beyond the Niger Delta, underscoring that Nigerian content must drive value across upstream, midstream, and downstream operations. He added that every operator must submit a Nigerian content plan, engage the board at 5 mandatory project stages, and treat the Nigerian content compliance commitment not as a certificate of past performance, but as a binding promise subject to monitoring. With 406,000 individuals and over 11,000 companies already registered on the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content, NOGIC JQS portal, the board insists the capacity exists locally to meet ambitious targets, including raising Nigerian content participation to 70%. The Supervisor, Planning, Research and Statistics Directorate, Emmanuel Polka, however, warns that failure to submit statutory reports, improper expatriate quota applications, or corporate accreditation gaps could trigger remediation, suspension, or legal action. Delivering the vote of thanks, the Supervisor, Midstream Monitoring Division, Pius Waritimi reiterated that compliance commitments are binding and encouraged stakeholders to engage the board early. As Nigeria pushes for industrialization and energy security, the NCDMB's message to the midstream sector is that while partnership is welcome, compliance with the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010 is non-negotiable. Represented by the Minister of Environment, President Tinubu described the tour as more than a series of events, but a call to innovation, investment, and opportunity. He warned that climate change is already disrupting farming in the north, worsening coastal erosion in the south, straining businesses through energy costs, and threatening the future of young Nigerians. But beyond the risks, he says, there is opportunity as global capital shifts towards green energy, carbon markets, and sustainable industries, stressing that Nigeria's climate commitments and its 2060 net zero target must move from paper to practice, especially at the state and grassroots levels.
Let me be clear. Climate change is not only about risk, it's about opportunity. Together we will turn awareness into action. We'll turn action into investment. We'll turn investment into a stronger, greener, more resilient Nigeria. With this, I hereby declare the renewed hope for climate change awareness tour officially plugged off.
The tour will travel across the 6 geopolitical zones, convening governors, legislators, traditional rulers, youth groups, farmers, and investors, identifying bankable projects and unlocking climate finance. Chairman of the tour, Yusuf Kelani, says the goal is simple: democratize climate knowledge, align state action with national targets, and turn awareness into action.
Let Nigeria become the model for climate resilience development in Africa. Let our states compete not in vulnerability, but in innovation. Let our youth see climate not as crisis alone, but as opportunity. Let us learn. Let us turn methane into energy. Let us turn waste into wealth. Let us turn resilience into national prosperity.
Nigeria stands ready to leverage climate finance and international partnerships to support our transition to a low carbon and climate resilient economy. This tour is not a government program alone. It is a national movement, and we call on state governments to strengthen climate institutions, private sector to invest in green technologies.
The guest speaker, Professor Babajide Alo, who presented the paper, Securing Our Climate Future, Empowering Communities for a Resilient Nigeria, urged leaders to empower communities, strengthen subnational funding, and design policies rooted in local realities.
We need to drastically improve our subnationals, the states, in their climate action. Where they don't have it, they must have it, and climate readiness by improving their capacities. But I put emphasis, and that's why I put it in capitals, that our subnationals need help.
For millions of Nigerians already living with floods, droughts, and rising food prices, the success of this tour will not be measured in speeches, but in projects delivered, communities empowered, and whether climate awareness truly transforms into climate action. Delivering the keynote address, the Minister of Environment, Balarabe Lawal, represented by the Director, Department of Climate Change, Eniobong Abiolawe, emphasized that states sit at the front line of climate action, with commissioners bearing the responsibility of turning policy into measurable results that touch lives and communities. This workshop is structured to strengthen coordination between federal and state institutions, encourage peer-to-peer learning, and promote evidence-based policy making driven by impact evaluation.
Impact evaluation is central to credibility. As Nigeria strengthens its transparency framework, reliable subnational data will determine the quality of our national greenhouse gas inventories. Adaptation reporting and biannual transparency reports We must move beyond activity-based reporting to outcome-based reporting. The Department of Climate Change, through the ministry, stands ready to provide technical guidance, templates, and coordination mechanism to support states in this regard.
Through this platform, we can harmonize methodologies, align indicators, and ensure consistency in reporting climate actions nationally and internationally. Impact evaluation is central to credibility. As Nigeria strengthens its transparency framework, reliable subnational data will determine the quality of our national greenhouse gas inventories, adaptation reporting, and biennial transparency reports.
For the organizers, Society for Planet and Prosperity, peer learning is a catalyst allowing states to move faster by adopting successful initiatives from high-ranking states, improving access to climate finance, and building the institutional capacity needed to deliver climate projects ahead of the third climate governance ranking.
We are not actually particularizing anyone. We allow the states to tell us what action they have been doing. We have about 5 different metrics. We have climate policy, climate action plan, institutional arrangement for governing climate change. We also look now at the climate implementation. So are you doing flood defense systems? Are you doing reforestation? Are you doing renewable energy? Are you doing capacity building? We look at training. We look at online visibility, and we also look at climate finance. To what extent is your state actually attracting climate finance? Because at the end of the day, without finance, very little or nothing can be done.
Here, commissioners of environment, civil society actors, and development partners worked to harmonize methodologies and align indicators, ensuring consistency, credibility, and accountability in how climate actions are reported and assessed across states.
If you look at part of the agenda of today, we are looking at reviewing the subnational climate governance ranking methodology. If we feel something is missing, we add. If we feel something should not be there, we remove, so that we can come up with an agreed template where each and every state would know and agree.
As a party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement, Nigeria's ambitious national climate commitments will ultimately be judged not by plans on paper, but by action on the ground, advancing clean energy, strengthening food resilience, and improving waste management systems in communities nationwide. Nigeria is home to an estimated 86.8 million people without access to electricity, according to a 2025 World Bank report, the highest number globally. Across the country, chronic power shortages and unreliable grid supply continue to cripple homes, businesses, hospitals, and schools. A 2026 study by Our World in Data paints an even starker picture, revealing that in at least 45 countries, average daily electricity use per person is less than the power needed to run an air conditioner for just 1 hour. For many Nigerians, even powering a fan remains a luxury. Experts at this National Advocacy Campaign Forum on Renewable Energy say solar energy is Nigeria's fastest pathway out of energy poverty, a decentralized solution capable of reaching millions left behind by the national grid.
We believe that through systematic technology transfer of the manufacture and production of these goods, we can find a way to localize, if not the manufacture, but at least the assembly, so that we can create jobs locally, so that we can have local content added to the production of solar components in the country, and ultimately have the spread of solar. And I think that Nigeria has the demand to maintain and to sustain several local solar component manufacturing parts in Nigeria.
Our NDCs have a plan to ensure that there is 100% electricity for Nigerians by 2035. That's barely about 9 years now. And the quickest way to achieve that will be through clean energy. solar. So we need to take it slow. We need to get it right so that we don't further put our people into more darkness, worse than it currently is. The local manufacturing capacity should be increased, and we can do that by providing the right incentives.
Other speakers here described government's planned clampdown on solar panel imports as premature, advocating instead a phased approach, one that offers incentives for local production, promotes domestic assembly and battery manufacturing, and ensures affordable financing for clean energy systems.
An overwhelmingly high number of Nigerians, about 80% of Nigerians, do not support a ban on solar importation. So if the government says we do what the people want, then you listen to what the people are saying, right? A ban on solar importation, to be very, very accurate, is not just it's an economic conversation. Is a social conversation, right? The government is thinking about energy sovereignty, they're thinking about industrialization. Those are very good and noble ideas. But even if you're going to do that, you have to do it as business-oriented people. Use the numbers, use public analysis and public sentiment to inform that decision. Don't just wake up one day and say, we're closing the borders, we're shutting down. Let's have a clear strategic plan over the next 5 to 10 years on how we're going to gradually pivot to locally manufactured panels and then gradually shut the borders on manufactured ones that are imported.
Participants also point to the 2023 Electricity Act as a turning point as it decentralizes electricity regulation, empowers states, and opens doors for subnational governments to drive renewable energy investments. For most of our history, humans lived in harmony with nature.
But we have shared in the balance, exploiting our planet for product and wealth.
Creating a climate catastrophe, driving species to extinction, and polluting our land, sea, and air.
The sight is clear. Time is running out.
We must go from harming our planet to healing it. We must protect what we have and bring back what we have lost to have a more sustainable future where
everyone can survive, because there is only one Earth, and so we must protect it.
There's a massive desertification that's just coming in.
If you keep eating pangolin, you will not even see pangolin. And that means at the end of the day, we'll end up telling our children, we see open storybooks.
Join Nkoli Modu every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. on Environment Reports. Welcome back. The United Nations World Wildlife Day is celebrated every year on the 3rd of March to recognize the unique roles that wild animals and plants play in people and the planet. This year, the theme is aromatic and medicinal plants, conserving health, heritage, and livelihood. Let's tell you more about the World Wildlife Day. On Tuesday, March 3, the world marked the 2026 World Wildlife Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to celebrate the beauty, diversity, and importance of wild animals and plants. This year's theme, medicinal and aromatic plants, conserving health, heritage, and livelihoods, throws a spotlight on nature's pharmacy, and for Nigeria, the message could not be more urgent. From the rainforests of Cross River to the savannas of the north, Nigeria is richly blessed with medicinal and aromatic plants that have sustained generations. Long before modern hospitals, communities relied on roots, leaves, and bark for healing, remedies passed down through tradition, culture, and indigenous knowledge. But today, deforestation, climate change, illegal logging, and urban expansion are putting many of these valuable plant species at risk. As habitats shrink, so too does access to affordable healthcare solutions and sustainable livelihoods for rural communities. Globally, millions depend on plant-based medicine. In Nigeria, traditional medicine remains a primary source of healthcare for a large segment of the population. Beyond health, medicinal and aromatic plants create jobs, from local herb sellers to pharmaceutical research and essential oil production. Experts say conserving wildlife is no longer just about protecting animals like elephants or gorillas. It is also about safeguarding the plants that heal, nourish, and sustain life. The 2026 theme calls for stronger conservation policies, community participation, and investment in sustainable harvesting practices to ensure these natural resources are not lost to future generations. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark World Wildlife Day, the celebration serves as a reminder: protecting wildlife is protecting ourselves, because in every forest preserved and every medicinal plant conserved lies not just biodiversity, but health, heritage, and hope for generations to come.
Hello, we welcome you to our social media platform for more information about our program Environment Today. On Facebook, you can reach us on Environment Today. On YouTube, subscribe, like, and share every of our episodes on Environment Today. Instagram, it is Environment Today. On Twitter, /Environment Today. And on WhatsApp, you can reach us on +234 8033 356 388. Catch up and do interact with us, and don't miss any of our environmental issues. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
All right, up next is our feedback segment. This is where you get to hear your views and comments regarding the program. Do not forget to hook up with us on all our social media platforms displaying on your screen. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. After that, we'll bring you environment quotes for this week. Wow, this is where we'll be wrapping up Environment Today for this week. Thank you so much for making our time to be with us and allowing us space into your living room once again. Next week's episode promises to be an interesting one. Please do keep a date with us. Until then, do remember that environment is life, so do your bit. We'll do ours from this end so we can all preserve it. From all of us on Environment Today crew, we wish you the very best. Bye for now.